Welcome, everyone. This is King Philip's Regional Review, and I'm Paul Zinni, Superintendent of the King Philip Regional School District. I'm joined today by Kip Lewis, who's the Assistant Principal at the King Philip Regional High School, and Michelle Kelley, who's the Clerk Magistrate for the Wrentham District Courts and also a member of the SAFE Coalition. She's on the Board of Directors for that organization. And we're here today to talk a little bit about what's going on in King Philip and to specifically talk about a coalition that has been formed called Healthy KP, Substance Use Prevention Coalition. And Kip, Michelle, and I have all been working on that this year with a group of individuals from the community who have been committed to helping to look at substance use and prevention for our communities and to pledge to work to try to prevent our youth from getting involved with those things. And so I want to thank you both for being here today and welcome you. And so let's begin a little bit and talk about what's going on here. And so I want to turn to you, Kip, first, because Kip, you've been working on this project all year and you're right there in the trenches. You're right in the schools. You're seeing what's going on with the kids today. And so maybe for our viewers at home, you can describe a little bit about what's been happening in the schools around substance use.
Sure. Yeah, so I think like many schools across the nation, we have faced a lot of challenges with regards to substance use, including alcohol, marijuana, and tobacco in particular. And KP is not unlike a lot of the other schools. And when we later dig into our Metro West Health Survey data, we'll be able to see a lot of that information. So over the last couple of years, the administrative team has decided that they wanted to really try to tackle it, and not just tackle it by going out into the hallways more and coming up with ideas internally, but also trying to connect with the community, because we feel like it's not something we can take on ourselves and that we really need help. Those things are coming into our building and we have to respond to that part of it. Mm-hmm. So we really feel that by connecting with community, we can try to tackle the issue a little bit more head on.
And so, Kip, I just want to follow up on something
Sure.
you just said, because you're talking about it coming into our building. I think there's a kind of both things going on as we look at our youth right now. So there are some issues that are kind of inside the building, and there are some issues that our youth are facing that are kind of broader than our building, kind of going out through the whole community. So what would you say were the issues that you're really addressing specifically in the building? And then what are the things that we kind of see more globally for our students, their involvement?
Yeah, so I'd say there's been a huge uptick in the use of vaping, and the feedback from students and parents is that it's ever present in their lives as well. And the problem with the vaping devices is that they not only contain nicotine, some of them, but the other ones contain THC or marijuana, and you can't tell the difference between the two. The device allows so that the student can release the vapor, or the person can release the vapor, and it disappears into the air and nobody realizes that it happened, versus smoke. So it becomes much more easy for folks and students to disguise and camouflage and use it. And we've had some time frames during the year where there's been big spikes. And as of recently, I'm really pleased to announce that the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've had a little bit of a drop in usage that we've noticed, and that's been very pleasant for us to see that, and we're really excited about that. But the second part of your question was more globally. I would say that we still continue to be concerned about alcohol use, in particular during prom time. And we found that the numbers are high across the state, and our numbers are somewhere around there as well. So while they're equal to the state, they are also still concerning.
Great. Well, thank you, Kip. So we're going to, as we go through this program today, we're going to talk a little bit more about the health, the Healthy KP Coalition. Forgive me, I'm stumbling over that one because we have more than one coalition going on. But the Healthy KP Coalition is really focused on prevention, whereas Michelle can talk to us a little bit about the work that the SAFE Coalition has been doing, which is really more around treatment and support for families that are in crisis right now. So, Michelle, maybe you could share a little bit about that bigger piece here for us.
Sure. So the SAFE Coalition is a group that affects all of the towns, the tri-town area, Rentham, Norfolk, and Plainville. But it also services it's really the 8 towns that report to the jurisdiction of the Rentham District Court. So that's kind of the focus of the SAFE Coalition. So the SAFE Coalition is support for addicts and families through empowerment. So what we try to do, it was formed, I think, around 3 years ago. It hasn't been around for a long time, but we've impacted a lot of individuals and families. And it's really education, prevention, support. We have a hotline. It's a 24-hour hotline that is answered by members of the board, and we provide a lot of different services. And again, it's something that we want to make sure that all parents of KP students are aware of, so that they know that outside of a healthy KP, which is brand new, and we're still forming services for healthy KP, that the SAFE Coalition is in existence and does offer a lot more services than healthy KP at this time. So we want to make sure that the KP community knows about the SAFE Coalition. And really, any family member who's having any difficulty at all with substance use disorder, including alcohol, they can call the SAFE Coalition. They can report what's happening in their lives, and the SAFE Coalition can, get them treatment. At the courts, we do something called a Section 35 commitment, and that's when a family member comes to court if they feel that their family member or loved one has a substance use disorder with, again, alcohol or a substance use, to the point where they need an involuntary commitment to a detox center. So while we at the court can't give legal advice, we certainly can give procedural advice. So I would encourage people who are having any questions or difficulty to reach out to the SAFE Coalition first. And we have a pretty good relationship with the courts, all of the courts, even if it's outside of our jurisdiction. And we can assist any families who are having difficulty. But it's great for the SAFE Coalition's perspective because we're now working with Healthy KP. So it's nice that the two coalitions have come together, and several people from the SAFE Coalition have been involved with Healthy KP in these early stages.
Exactly.
And I hope that Healthy KP grows once we're up and running a little bit better. I think that it'll be something that will be open to the entire community. Everyone is always welcome to join now, but we're just starting different programming.
I think for myself, I'm hoping that if we are really successful with Healthy KP, that we would ultimately put the SAFE Coalition out of business, because the Healthy KP is around prevention, and the SAFE Coalition's around those supports for families who are in crisis, who are looking to deal with those substance abuse issues. And if we can really get to the heart of this and stop our students from using these substances in the first place as they grow into adults in the community, hopefully they won't need that kind of support later on. But it's a wonderful marriage, if you will, of the people in the community working together. So as we're talking about these substances, I think what we're seeing, though, in the school versus the community are slightly different substance issues. And so it might be important to talk a little bit about that for our viewers, because I think sometimes people have misconceptions about what types of substances are being used. So maybe, Michelle, first, what are the primary substances that we're seeing adults being treated for or requiring some kinds of supports or help?
Well, most of what we see in the courts when we have a Section 35 commitment, we're seeing an awful lot of alcohol lately. And again, it's an adult situation, so it's not an adolescent situation, which would, any kind of adolescent issue would usually be handled by the juvenile court, which is outside of the Rentham court jurisdiction. But what we're seeing is heroin and alcohol. Some pill abuse, but it's primarily detox needed for alcohol and heroin. As far as Healthy KP and what we as a SAFE Coalition, we are fielding some calls lately regarding marijuana. So just adolescent marijuana use. Oftentimes we're seeing, especially this time of year, where college students are coming back from college and they're coming back with a daily, perhaps, marijuana habit. And parents are concerned because they're using marijuana daily. Again, different ages. Some of them are legally able to use it. Some of them are not. They're using marijuana and driving. So the SAFE Coalition has fielded calls about that. We do as a SAFE Coalition, I just want to make sure that it's clear that we do also offer education and prevention services.
Absolutely.
So we do offer all three. So I hope we never get put out of business.
You're right from that perspective.
But I appreciate what you're saying because we hope that the need for the support certainly goes down because of the education and prevention that we provide. But I do want to point out that the SAFE Coalition, Officer Michelle Palladini of the Norfolk Police Department, she's on the board of the SAFE Coalition, and she has made some pamphlets. And one of them is Marijuana 101, and the other one is regarding all vaping materials, all information regarding vaping. And the SAFE Coalition has provided those pamphlets to Healthy KP. And I know that Healthy KP, I did get a confirmation that they are in the high school, in the nurse's office, as well as the guidance office. So if there are any parents who just want more information, you can simply, I would suggest you could probably call the school, pick them up, or even have them sent to the home, however you want to get the information.
Exactly.
Call the SAFE Coalition as well, and we would get them. But they are SAFE Coalition materials that have been provided to the Healthy KP Coalition. Right. And it's great information for parents who may have some concerns about their students' marijuana use or vaping. It's really great introductory material for parents.
That's wonderful. And we are going to make sure throughout the show that we get some of those contact information out to the community. So phone numbers and websites and those kinds of things. So you can go through the schools, you can go through the SAFE Coalition to make sure that you get the resources that you need and the help that you need. And so we hear more about heroin at the more adult level. I know that from my own experience in the schools that heroin is not something that we see at the school age level, but we do see a lot of the behaviors that could lead to that. And so, Kip, I turn back to you as you're in the school. In addition to the vaping and the tobacco, which is kind of in the school, what are some of the things that we know that some of our students are maybe experimenting with, often outside of the school, but still experimenting far too young?
Well, I think, not to detract from the marijuana piece, because maybe the edibles as well is something that we've seen a little bit of, where the marijuana edibles have kind of made their way into the school from time to time. And I don't really know, we don't really have our finger on the pulse of what they're doing besides the marijuana, alcohol, and tobacco.
Right.
But I would say that, any information that people want to share with us that they're aware of in confidence would definitely be helpful to us. Sometimes we do have folks say, you have heroin in the building, and we just don't see it. We don't hear about it. So what we'll do is we'll say, well, could you share some information with us so that we can look into it? So if folks do have any insights, we'd be happy to look into things. If we really can have some detailed information, feel free to call me in particular.
And I think that is the key. I think what we're hearing is marijuana and alcohol are the abusive substances of choice when you're talking about school-age students. They really haven't gotten into the substances like heroin, but we know that when they start with some things like marijuana, that those can sometimes be the gateway to bigger problems later on. And so again, keeping them from those substances early on is so important.
Often combined with mental health issues, anxiety, depression, stress, the numbers are increasing in the community. I don't want to speak for the schools, but the numbers in the community are increasing as far as mental health concerns. Oftentimes there's a dual diagnosis where there's a mental health component and a substance use disorder. That's somewhat common, and that's where we as Healthy KP and SAFE Coalition, we just have concerns about early marijuana use and how it may lead to other drug use.
Exactly.
That's something that does concern both coalitions.
The marijuana these days as well is far stronger than it was, 15, 20 years ago.
Exactly.
And where really the adolescents are getting the marijuana is another concern. Where is it coming from? Is it coming from someone who may have access to medical marijuana? What type of marijuana are they using? We're seeing a lot of raw marijuana use now, as well as the vaping, the THC vaping. There is a fair amount of just raw marijuana use. They're smoking it in bongs, pipes, foil, bottles, many different ways, but we're seeing more, again, adolescent and adult raw marijuana use, which is concerning because of the potency of it.
Exactly. I'm going to take what we were just talking about and bring that to a survey that we actually have some data on so that the people at home can know a little bit more about what we're facing and what we're seeing in the schools and beyond. But the King Philip High School and Middle School participate in a survey that's given every 2 years through Metro West, and it looks at all the communities in the Metro West area and also throughout the state. And it's an at-risk survey. It looks at risky behaviors of our students. And although there's a great deal of information on that, today I think what we would do is focus on some of the information regarding substance use and abuse. And so although we are seeing some small use and abuse at the middle school level, the primary use and abuse of some of these substances that we've been talking about has been coming more at the high school age range. The good news is that as we looked at the stats for King Philip Regional High School, what we see is that they are consistent with the average for both the region and the state. We're not showing dramatic differences in use from the state or the region. The sad news is that we have far too many students who are engaged in those behaviors. So when we hear about, students at the high school level, our high school is typical of what we're seeing across the state, but it's, again, any student who's engaged in these behaviors is one student too many, and so we need to look at that. But maybe you see, if you're looking from at home, you see that we have lots of papers and notes around the table. That's because there's so much data here, and we wanted to make sure that we captured it correctly. And so in front of both Kip and I, we have some of the results from the survey that we've done. And so what the good news is, what we're seeing consistently over the last 10 years is that cigarette use has dropped dramatically. So 10 years ago, 33% of our high school students would have been engaged in cigarette smoking, where we're seeing that percentage at just about 12% today. So that's a great stat in the big picture. And across the region, again, 12%. So we're right there at that same level. But interestingly, when we look at the use of vaping, we didn't even have data on that 10 years ago. But 6 years ago, when we looked at it, we were at 31%, and we're up to 40% of our high school students identifying the use with that. So that's troubling. Marijuana use and alcohol use staying kind of flat for the district, we're saying across the last couple of years, and consistent with the state. So there's a lot of data out there, but we're seeing as our students get older, more and more of them are engaging in this behavior.
Yeah.
Michelle, you mentioned also something about the mental health piece of it. I think we have some important stats about that as well. Kip, as you're looking at this, we're seeing for stress levels.
It is one of our top concerns right now, and very often, to reiterate what Michelle was saying, you'll find that students who are having mental health stresses, you'll also find them that are using as well in some cases, not in all cases. And so it's an area that we are going to be targeting over the next couple of years. We did successfully, we had an adjustment counselor bring in a bridge grant for us, so that when students are hospitalized and they come back in, we can have that transition period for them. They can get caught up on work and be reintegrated into their classes as they're prepared to. So that the mental health piece is a nationwide crisis right now, that a lot of schools are going through that, and working on updating our curriculum around social emotional learning methods and ways that we can help to de-stress situations for students.
Exactly. When we asked students about their stress levels 10 years ago, that question, about 27% of them identified that they were feeling a high level of stress, where we're at 39% today. And so that's very troubling. We're seeing that kind of significant increase in the level of stress. And when kids don't know how to deal with that stress, they then look for inappropriate ways or reach out for those kinds of things. So we are doing more about that. And actually, one of the exciting things that I do want to mention to our audience is that, in fact, I worked with the superintendents from the 3 elementary districts, and together the 4 school districts, the 3 communities, wrote for a competitive grant with the state, and we have a mental health grant that we have received for over $300,000 to bring in some people to start helping us work on that project. So we are trying to attack that from that direction as well. So if I come back to the Healthy KP Coalition, which is kind of where we started from, we've given the audience a lot of information about the data and why it's important for us to come together. Kip, maybe you can share with the audience a little bit about how the Healthy KP group began and what they've been doing over the last year.
Yeah, so I'd say if we really started looking back at where it started, we as an administrative team, had realized that we wanted to have a conversation with the community and our parents about vaping and what we were seeing. We were having a lot of conversations with them over the phone through disciplinary reasons and what have you, but we wanted to have an open dialogue, and we invited in Dr. Lester Hartman from Westwood Pediatrics, who came in, and he's a very, very strong advocate that is out there, and he's getting the laws changed, the age range from 18 to 21 to be able to purchase tobacco, which does have a significant impact in that if you have a student who's 18 and they can purchase, then they can bring it to their peers as well. So moving that up is really important.
And Kip, before you go on with that, I want to just jump in because you and I actually spent an evening with the Rentham Board of Health just a little while ago, where they were talking about banning flavored vaping products. Yeah. And fortunately, the Rentham Board of Health opted to ban those for students for people under 21. They're not able to buy the flavored products, and it's going to be under consideration for the Norfolk Board of Health later this month. And you and I will be there. Hopefully, some students and hopefully the community will come out to voice their concern about those kind of flavored products, because we know the flavored products tend to be marketed really toward our youth. Yeah, it's not our adults who are choosing bubblegum flavored vaping products or cotton candy. Those are really targeted toward the youth. Yeah. So I interrupted you with that, but I want you to, if you can, to continue talking about that coalition.
When Superintendent Zinni came into the district, he had seen that presentation. We just started having conversation around, what are some things that we can do, and luckily, he's had some experience with applying for grants around substance use, and we decided if we could put together a coalition and maybe write for a grant, we can really maybe have some systemic change over the next 5 to 10 years. And so we started looking into the idea of writing for the federal grant through SAMHSA, which is a $625,000 grant over 5 years, and all the components that would take would be including all different sector members from the community to get involved. And the coalition really launched from there and trying to bring folks in and see if they would get involved. And we had a lot of people that were really interested. And then we had folks like Michelle who were willing to really come in and actually put boots on the ground and take action and get things done. And now what we can do is maybe recollect those other people that were interested. And we've built a framework, I think, for success over the next 5 years. And using that framework, we can really now start to get a lot of student involvement students involved in the actions that we're going to do. And I think that's one of our primary targets right now, is how can we really get the students to be the change and be the leaders and be the influence. A lot of this comes down to influence. One quick thought going back to the vape product usage of 41% have used it. Perceptions very often are that 90% of the students in the building are using vape devices, and that's because the 40% that are ever present, and it seems like it's 90%. And it's really important to note that, because that signifies that 60% of the students are not using it, have never used it. And so we want that barometer of influence to start to go towards the idea that you don't need to do it. And look, the majority of the people, in fact, are not.
Exactly. And that's a really important message for our community, because I think when you're out in the community and you don't necessarily have a pulse on what's going on day to day in the school, when you see a student or two who are making a poor choice or a bad decision, it sometimes feels like everybody's doing that. But what we're seeing from these stats, and they're important stats, is that the majority of students are making the right choice. And we have to help to continue to support them on that.
Now, that's something that we want to do with the Healthy KP Coalition as well. So we feel very strongly that it's important that the attention doesn't only go to, the people who are engaging in risky behavior. So we've talked about some community programming for the future. So certainly not anything that we were able to accomplish this year, but something for next year and years to come, where you're rewarding the students who are not engaging in, vaping, marijuana use, any of the items that show up on the report. So that you would, there are different programs that other districts have done where you get, coupons for like free pizza, free slush, free things in local stores. So we're trying to, in the future, work with businesses in the area to reward the good students instead of always having the attention go to the people who are making bad choices.
And the coalition has been able to get a few things accomplished this year. As you know, it started with the structure. You know, getting up and running, determining that structure, setting some goals, creating a mission, and then it moved more toward trying to provide some services or get some initiatives going. And Michelle, you were really key in one of those initiatives, and maybe you could talk for a minute or two about the sticker shock that we've just done, and then if we have time, we'll also talk a little bit about the relay that SAD and the coalition also worked together on the road race to try to raise funds as well and raise awareness. So Michelle, if you could just, again, share with us a little bit about that Sticker Shock project.
Sure. So this is something that came to the Healthy KP Coalition, I think through previous experience that I think you have had in other districts. And we as a courthouse, you know, speaking, again, I can't speak for the Rentham District Court, I can only speak with my experience. We are trying at Healthy KP to talk about the social host laws, and especially around prom season and graduation season coming up. We thought it was important to make sure that parents know that it is against the law to allow underage drinkers in your home. You know, you cannot provide alcohol, allow minors to consume alcohol, even if you don't provide it. If they're consuming it in your home, it's still a social host law violation. So what we've done is called a Sticker Shock campaign. I'm happy and proud to say that we had the involvement of 10 local establishments. I'd like to take a quick moment and name them because they're doing a lot for our kids. So what the Sticker Shock campaign is, it's actually this sticker, which I think both of you have seen. And it basically says, make the right choice for you and for them. Don't provide alcohol to minors. Penalties include up to a year in jail and or a $2,000 fine. And we're not even talking about a civil liability. We're simply talking about the criminal component of the social host law. So what we've done through the Healthy KP Coalition is we've gone to all of the area, Rentham, Plainville, Norfolk, any establishment that serves pizza, takeout pizza. We have asked them to participate in our Sticker Shock campaign. So the stickers that you see will go on the boxes at these establishments. So especially during graduation and prom season, when you pick up a pizza at one of these places, hopefully you'll see the sticker. We have distributed them to, and again, I want to thank these restaurants because they gladly, took the stickers and understand what the need is. So Eaglebrook, Aroma of Norfolk, Horse and Carriage, Norfolk Town Pizza, Plainville House of Pizza, South Street Pizza in Plainville, Rentham House of Pizza, Town Pizza in Rentham, Cafe Assisi, and the Tavern in Rentham. They have all taken stickers and will be putting them on their pizza boxes, hopefully for the next 2 weeks, I would say. This is what we're trying to do with Healthy KP is, get the students out there, getting involved in the community again in a positive way, and get the message so that we can make some good changes, so that maybe a parent will see that and think twice about allowing, kids to drink in their basement, to drink in their house, to drink outside their house. We're just really trying to stop that.
Exactly. What we know is that sometimes parents with the best of intentions send the wrong message. For too often we've heard parents say, well, if I allow them to drink in my house, I know they're going to drink anyway, and this way I know I can contain it and make sure that it's safe. We know that research has shown over and over again that sends the wrong message. That in fact, students, when they identify why they have not participated in alcohol, do that because they say that they don't want to disappoint their parents. So we can't send the message that it's okay to do that. I'm seeing that we're just about out of time, and so I want to make sure that we wrap things up. I want to make sure that our viewers at home pay attention to those numbers and websites that get posted, so that if they are looking for information, looking for resources, they can contact the school, they can contact the Safe Coalition. If they're looking for help with a problem, they can do the same. And so for today, I want to thank our guests. I want to thank, again, Kip Lewis and Michelle Kelley for being here with me and talking about this. We probably could have talked for another hour or two. There's so much important information out there. And so I'm hoping you'll come back another time and that we'll have even more exciting things to talk about, the kinds of events that we're doing to help our communities to stay safe and to help our children stay safe. For our viewers at home, I want to thank you for watching today and wish you all the best and a safe time as we approach the summer. Thank you.